We are back with the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, the offseason's officially here. I mean, the Sabres beat Jack Eichel. We'll talk about that. Does he deserve to get booed on the third trip back in the Buffalo? That's the big ask.
That was a big question. I kind of forgot.
Yeah, because we were there the second time, and there were a lot of boos. And that's when he got the Hattie. But Sabres beat Eichel in the Vegas Golden Knights.
I was there the first time too, but that was when they actually lost.
Yeah,
Vegas did.
When Tuck did the job. But
yeah,
the Bills, some suspensions, some new signings. If you heard our little disclaimer before the episode last time, Dom had just pulled out of my driveway after we recorded when Joey Bosa got signed. So we didn't get to cover that fresh. So we'll jump onto that, and then what else with the Bills? Are we getting diggy with it? Stephon Diggs uploads his pictures. There's a lot going on. So without further ado, Dom, what are the vibes like right now at this point in the NFL offseason? We're nearing the draft. The mock drafts are going out in full force. We'll find out, I guess, what the Bills do. You and I gave our opinions on that last week, but the Sabres season, the Bandits season, we're kind of in an interesting time as the weather starts to turn.
The weather is beautiful.
What are your vibes like right now, I guess, to start this one off?
I think pretty good. I mean, listen, we had a fantastic dynasty meeting last night.
We did.
So.
We did. We might have to do a dynasty talk.
So that's always cool, kind of a new thing. And then, I mean, we're a month away pretty much from the NFL draft. Obviously, it's April 24th, so a little more than a month. But
yeah.
Close enough. Almost the end of this terrible Sabre season. So.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, they've strung together a couple wins, which is very Sabres-y. You used to say Bills-y, now it's just Sabres-y with they're done, and now they're gonna win some. I don't want to say meaningless games, but
I mean that is how it goes. The Bills finish their season, and the Sabres actually attempt to try. But
the Bandits get revenge on Calgary and Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice win for the boys. Bison season coming up in 10 days here, so
yep.
Opening day on March 20th in Buffalo at 2 o'clock.
Then we're going to a Yankees game in less than a month.
I know.
In Pittsburgh.
So
we got a lot going on right now.
Baseball's about to happen. Obviously, the NBA and NHL. So I mean, and how can we forget March Madness?
Yep.
Starts technically tonight.
Technically, yes. Brackets do not have to be finalized until 6:15 on Thursday. Disclaimer. Mine will be in probably by 6 o'clock in all leagues I'm in, unfortunately. I'm that kind of guy.
12:15.
12:15.
Yeah.
Not 6:15. Not 6:15. 12:15. But yeah, I'm that kind of person, unfortunately, the procrastinator. But I'm not a big ESPN. I mean, we could talk about this for a second before we dive into the Bills stuff. March Madness. Now you can autofill brackets. Have you seen that?
Big March Madness guy.
I am too. I have been since I was little. My dad used to print out the brackets for us, and we write it down, scan them into the printer, all that stuff. But ESPN Analytics, CBS now, you can just, let's autofill this thing. I guess is cool, but do you get the validity of winning at that point if you win? Does it feel like a win? That's my question.
I mean, a win is a win.
Yeah? Who are you picking to go all the way?
Duke.
Duke?
My dad's always been a big Duke fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Duke is kind of like the trashy white school.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you slandering Duke right now?
I've been serious. There's
okay.
There's generational memes about all the pastiest white boys go to Duke.
Gotcha.
I mean, Christian Laettner from the Buffalo area kind of made that famous in the early 90s. So yeah, I'm probably picking Duke. I've also been burned a couple times picking Duke in the past. I think I picked them one year, and then they lost to Mercer as a 14-3 upset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love March Madness. I think it's those 2 days, the first 2 days, Thursday to Friday, when you literally have 12-plus hours of just games, there's nothing better. I mean,
no, it's like peak start to the NFL season, where it's just that first Sunday all the way through, and it's even better because it's just nonstop action firing off. So
I just think it's great because it's you get to see, eventually later in the tournament you get to see the best teams in the country playing each other. But early in the tournament you just get to see a lot of these small time schools that
the underdogs.
I mean, how I bet some people don't even know where some of these schools are on a map.
Yeah,
and they somehow upset Kentucky,
Gonzaga.
For example, do you know where Oakland University is?
Not in Oakland. No, is it not in Oakland, or is it in Oakland?
No.
No?
Buffalo Elite is in Oakland.
California?
No. It's in Oakland, Michigan.
Oh, interesting.
So
that's like okay. So that's like A&M, Corpus Christi.
Is that in Florida?
Yeah, it's like in Florida, but it's A&M, right? So like you hear A&M, and you see Corpus Christi, you're like, and you got to think. I mean, it's similar, but not the same.
Or do you know where Creighton is?
Creighton?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Omaha.
Is that?
Ish.
Peyton Manning rooting for them by chance?
Maybe. But yeah,
I don't know. I picked Michigan in one of my brackets, number 6
Wolverines?
seed. Yeah, I've always picked Michigan when they've been solid. That's all from when I was a kid. My dad would play the NCAA games. Hand me the controller that's not really plugged in as like a 3-year-old.
And that's tough.
Yeah, but he would make
when
me.
When did that secret get? When did you learn about that you weren't?
When
really
I
playing?
started playing cars and beating him in races, that's when I started actually having a controller. So I was young, but the Michigan fight song, he'd make me like the quarterback. The basketball games were out at that point, right? Before they stopped making those. So
hopefully they get back to making those.
I know. But yeah, Michigan is who I picked. They're the 6th seed. It's not out of the question. But I don't know. Anything can happen. I want to see a Cinderella run. I always look forward to that. This is more basketball than I'll watch in the entirety of the NBA season, just because I can't watch NBA basketball.
Yeah, I think
this is more entertaining on so many levels.
I would say March is a top tier
sports time. Yeah.
Again, you get NFL free agency, the build up to the draft. You get NBA and NHL seasons coming to an end, so those regular season games really matter. Not for the Sabres.
Nope.
Heck, you get add NL to the list. Baseball starting up. I mean, heck, baseball started this morning. They played in Japan. Dodgers won 4-1 over the Cubs, and then also again, just March Madness. Like you get the conference tournaments, and now you get the NCAA's. Like
yeah,
it doesn't get much better. It comes back to Buffalo next year.
Yeah, I love it when it's in Buffalo. It's a good time. It's just underrated sports month, or is it rated enough because of March Madness? I think all the other stuff's sort of underrated.
I think it's the GOAT sports month.
Would you say so?
I mean, what other month? I guess we're getting completely sidetracked here. What other month is better than March?
It's an off-season pod, all right. Like,
what month is better than March in terms of sports? The weather here is. I mean, we're from West New York, so like the weather's because it's like it's like you don't know what to expect.
I mean, honestly, March too, though, because like the PGA tours are really firing off as well. As a golf fan, I've started
the lead up to the Masters.
Right, I've started to like watch golf and enjoy it. Right, put bets on it. Unfortunately,
there's some good tennis tournaments.
Yeah, the tennis tournaments are opening up, so it's like. I don't think there's something better than March, but I guess.
Okay.
What would I say?
Well, if you couldn't have March, if we did a draft, we should do it. But
we should do a draft.
We should do a draft of sports months, which I think we each get
How
6.
many sports months are there though?
There's 12 months.
Well, I know 12 months in a year. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think you would consider.
Are they all sports months?
Sure.
Like the Super Bowl's February.
They all count.
Okay.
But you'd have to draft them.
Interesting.
That's a good.
Mark that down. Mark that down.
When we're in the middle of, now I'm going to expose a bad sports month. Well, for us Sabres fans and Bills fans, I think May's a pretty bad month.
Yeah,
because there's nothing we're doing locally.
You're just watching hockey playoffs.
I guess the Bandits are making playoff runs in May now, so I don't know.
The Bandits run till June, I want to say.
Yeah,
that's normally when they wrap up because they go all the way in recent history, but. Honestly, I guess locally, a month that I love sports-wise is when the NFL season starts, September. August can miss me, though, with the preseason football. I'm out.
September? Yeah, September's a pretty
September,
good...
like...
I like September.
When I hear Thursday night football, right, and it's the first one is NBC, so you hear the Sunday night football theme on Thursday night to open the NFL season, nothing better. Sitting on your porch a lot of the time... Or sitting outside watching a game because it's still 70 degrees at night.
September's a good pick. I mean, beginning of the NFL season, you have the U.S. Open in tennis.
Yeah.
You have baseball season coming to an end, so playoff races. But then 2 of the major sports are out. I don't know what you consider. Then we have to also consider, to be honest, this is completely sidetracked, but whatever. Soccer, like every 4 years, you got to be like July. Well, I know last run it was in December because it was in Qatar, but
the World Cup.
The World Cup is usually in July. So like, does that bump
every 4 years you get the Summer Olympics too?
I have to be honest. July might be up there.
Mm-hmm.
You have Wimbledon. You have the Summer Olympic. Well, no,
every 4 years you get Summer Olympics.
August. That's more in August, though, isn't that?
Is it? I don't know.
Maybe it's like mixed.
I think it's between two. I think it splits between July and August.
I think August owns that.
NHL free agency.
NHL NBA free agency.
Mm-hmm. July's up there.
NFL training camp begins.
We'll definitely have to do a draft.
I think that's up there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sports months.
This is the worst one. Let's just get the worst one out. We'll
the worst sports month?
The worst sports month. I honestly think...
I'd say February, because it's the only thing in it's the Super Bowl.
Man, is that... I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess this is trade deadlines, but those are like whatever.
Especially when you have a team that barely does anything approaching a trade deadline.
You know what?
I would probably say February.
Because you have the NFL playoffs, so I was almost going to say tempting January, but...
January is the worst month, but not sports month.
Yeah.
That's my take.
You know what's a bad sports month? I'll say it. November.
Yeah, that's just like a long stretch of...
It's like the NBA and NHL is just starting off. MLB just ended.
Mm-hmm.
NFL is kind of mid-season.
Yeah.
Tennis is kind of done. I mean, they have their finals, but no one watches really after the U.S. Open.
Mm-hmm.
Golf's pretty much in the can.
Yeah, golf's done.
I gotta say,
November might be contending for the bottom.
Yeah.
October's good.
Well, baseball just kind of, yeah.
Because that's like World Series time.
Well, because you know what? Now it's not November. I was going to say college football could redeem it. But that's really now become, so with the
extended playoffs.
With the extended playoffs, those games don't really matter as much. So now it's like December and January. So December kind of gets bumped up because of that.
And Christmas games in December. Holiday games.
Thanksgiving games, though.
Oh, yeah. The Buffalonian Bowl. I think that's gotta bump it up. But no, that's a good idea, especially in the thick of the offseason. We're definitely gonna do some drafts, and that's up there on the list.
I don't want to tattle on Joe, but I do think it was funny. Like before the show, we prep what we're gonna say or what we're gonna talk about. Everyone like, yeah, this is gonna be a quick pod, half hour, and I just kind of like in the back of my head know like we're gonna shoot the crap on some topic, and we're 12 minutes in. We haven't even touched the topic.
Yeah,
we're gonna
thereabouts. Yeah. So. It's an off-season pod, all right? That's the excuse. Normally,
we're pretty buttoned up.
Normally we're pretty buttoned up and ish, but I mean, some podcasts you listen to out there, they go like 2.5 hours, and it's like this will still be like 45 minutes probably. This 12 minutes did not go for nothing. So please expect a sports month draft amongst other drafts in the off-season because it's about to get dark. The dog days of summer are incoming, and that's going to be...
we are closing out on 3 years to pod, so maybe we do that for that one.
3:30 would be... Oh, I guess if we're going to derail, we're going to derail. We also passed 200 episodes and in the last week, and just completely forgot to mention anything. So thanks for 200 episodes, sticking around, all the viewers, this absolute dumpster fire of an episode to start. But... No, 200 episodes. I mean, who would have thunk it? And coming up on 3 years, Dom's absolutely right. About 12 days away. So, yeah, 3-year special. Maybe we do a couple drafts if they don't take up too much time.
We should do a couple drafts. That'd be fun.
Best episode drafts out of the 200. There'd be some polls. I mean, I don't know if you've been listening from episode 1. We were weather people to start, but
yeah, that's episode 1 just good because of nostalgia.
I don't know.
Outdoor pod.
Outdoor pod. That was bad, but there were a lot of...
Do you count the streams, too, that we did?
Yeah, the draft stream's definitely up there.
Well, I'm just saying the draft stream with Status and Ginger Man at the... I don't know, the pod with my dad? I don't know.
We might have to have guests.
Do we rank the guests that we had? No, I'm just kidding. No,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. We've had a couple. We had Unbelievable the movie on here. We had your dad, Mooch... Peach has not yet. There've been, we're not going to rank the guests. I don't want to do that. That's asking for trouble. But I think 200 episodes later, this feels like a first 10 episode where we're just starting to get our feet under us. But
that was a good conversation.
Thanks everyone for listening. No, I was kidding. But thanks everyone for listening for 200 episodes and. We're on video now, so you're looking at us, our faces, or just listening to our docile tones. We appreciate it. But to reel it in here 15 minutes in.
To go to actual Buffalo sports.
To go to actual Buffalo sports. The Bills have 2 suspensions. Ogunjobi and who else? Hoyt. I see Hoect and I want to say Hecht so bad. But Hoyt and Ogunjobi, they're both facing suspensions for performance-enhancing drugs. I was hoping they just ate a poppy seed bagel and tested. Turns out it's legit. Hoyt was known by Brandon Beane while he was being brought in. Ogunjobi, on the other hand, was a spy holding out that information. So
okay, well he didn't. They didn't know when he signed, and then when he signed,
yes,
that's why it was like when everyone was like, "Why is this taking so long for Ogunjobi to be like kind of official by the team?"
It's exactly why, because you find out they're not going to play both of them for
a
6
third
weeks
of the season. Which
does that include practices and everything? They can't be around the team.
I don't think they can be around the team after the preseason for 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
And then they can't play the next 2 games.
And they can gear up and practice for 2 weeks.
I think so.
I was going to say 6 weeks with no practice. You can that's outrageous.
No, but listen, they're going to get stripped of their pay. It's unfortunate. I think it really puts defensive linemen back on
the radar
for 30. I'm not saying it wasn't off, but I think you would have been like, oh, maybe they don't need to do it. Now it's kind of like more needish because you're down a third. But I think it's a good opportunity for Javon Solomon, Dwayne Carter, potentially the rookies that they draft. Like, you guys now are going to have a third of the season to kind of prove that you guys should stay on the roster and stay in their starting rotation and all that. So I actually think it's a good opportunity. It doesn't concern me as much because the Bills are just a good football team. So, like, it's not like it's like, oh, man, the Bills are kind of a wild card team, like losing depth for 6 weeks and could cost them a win, that could cost them going to the playoffs. Like, I don't see that. I do think you want these guys fresh for the playoffs, so I guess that could help. But I would say this, though. If they were to lose a game in those 6 games where you felt, man, these rookies or these young players, like if we had Michael Hoyt or Larry Ogunjobi in the lineup, maybe we get that job done, and then they fall a game short of finally getting that 1 seed, getting the bye, that would stink.
That would be bad.
That would stink.
That would be catastrophic on many levels.
Last year they didn't have that much margin of error. Like the Chiefs lost really one. I know they lost 2 games, but they lost 1 game to us. Like when Mahomes was starting. So,
when they put away that final stretch of opponents, you knew it was over.
So like they don't have that margin of error against the top teams of the AFC. So yeah, I think that's interesting. But Larry O, solid, more of a 3-tech.
Yeah,
could kind of give you some juice, pass rushing, probably better scheme fit than Pittsburgh. So I don't take the struggles in Pittsburgh too much.
Exactly.
And he's like kind of like, all right, they still need a 1-tech. Maybe they'll get someone in the draft, but it's an interior defensive lineman.
It sucks more for him because he's on a 1-year deal.
True, Hoyt's on a 3-year deal.
Yes, Hoyt has 3 years, so 2 more years after this one to really show his worth. But Ogunjobi's got a half a season pretty much to say why he would stick around.
2/3,
right?
Yeah.
So
not great.
Not great. But unfortunate turn of events for those guys. I mean, one knew it was coming, the other we didn't. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with the punches, roll with them, and in all that news,
I thought the online feed the blowback. Did you get like all the blowback? Like people were like, this is so embarrassing to the organization. It's like, okay, like I can't avoid that. They first off, the NFL, I think it's dumb, but those players didn't have to inform the teams.
No,
I'm not saying Larry.
That's definitely a conversation for the owners' meetings to change that.
Yeah,
but that's not on them.
If you're going to test players or you're going to test free agents, I feel like, and someone has a positive test potentially, I feel like teams should know that.
Yeah.
Now, again, they did know that about Hoyt, and they did know it, but they didn't know about Larry O until after he signed, and then he told them right away. But
as soon as he found out, but the league should notify that was coming down the pipeline before that happens.
I agree.
So I get that. I get the criticism of the rule itself, right, and the league policy. I don't get this is embarrassing for the organization because it's just like, what are you going to do?
It's bad luck.
But also, there's another crowd out there that's like, this is a genius move. And I'm like, okay, no. You can't spin that one for me. They're two extremes I've seen, but you can't spin either one of those for me. I just think it's a bro moment, like, to put it lightly like that. It's just kind of you gotta take the cards you're dealt.
It's unfortunate, but it's an opportunity.
You got to jack 6 and you got to roll with the flop. Like, that's essentially what you're dealing with. You know, you got to hope for the best.
Dude plays a little poker and jack 6.
But yeah, you gotta hope for the best. And then at the end of the day, I think they'll both. I think Hoyt will show his worth. I like him. I like that signing. And Ogunjobi, I mean,
he's a big boy.
Big boy, do whatever you can in those remaining games after you come back and show out in the preseason, please. Let us know what we're in for when you come back. Don't Von Miller it and just disappear when you come back after all that time. But speaking of edge rusher, Joey Bosa. Had to leave the pause there. Joey Bosa signs with the Bills. A lot of people, have you seen the blowback on this one? I wish we just got Leonard Floyd back, like you mentioned last week. I'm okay with Bosa in a sense. I know he's been injury prone. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a contributor to this organization. But the immediate of, he can't stay healthy, blah, blah, blah. Sure. You can definitely say that, whatever. But he's here to prove also he's still a top talent in the NFL, even in his waning years. So he's not here to check out, if you know what I'm saying. He's here to prove something for himself as well.
He's a prove a deal.
Yeah. Which I'm okay with. I have no problem with that.
High risk, high reward.
Yes. And honestly, this is a more responsible 1-year deal, right? To do it this way than, Von Miller, we're going to sell the house for you. And I get it. You couldn't foresee the Von Miller thing. I'm not discrediting that. But just the way that turned out, I think this is kind of a safety net for a situation like that. Yeah,
it's 1 year. We'll figure out what happens.
Because you could easily sign him again if he plays really well.
Or you can let him go.
Yeah.
And maybe get a comp pick.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's a good move. Listen, it's high risk, high reward. Hopefully he could play a little bit more than Von did and give you a little bit more of a true rotation to get off of, let AJ kind of
be the number 3.
Be that many snaps. But also I think it's smart because with the Bills being so heavy in rotation, like I think it's going to lower the risk of him getting injured and let him be fresh during the playoffs, which, again, he's made some plays when the Chargers have gotten into the playoffs. So, yeah, I think this is a guy that come playoff time, if he's healthy, like it's a win for the Bills. So it's a risk.
The Bills the LA players.
It would have been risky running it back with Von. I know people are like, it's kind of a new Von. True, it would have been risk running back with Von because Von's 35. Joey Bosa's 29.
35 and like aging, and when he's missed play time, he's not been the same.
He hasn't played enough snaps. So
no.
So hopefully he stays healthy. I think that's the big thing. I like it. Again, it's a move that of Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. I'm excited to see that as the edge tandem. So I think it could be a potential where he has something to prove. He's motivated, as you said.
Yeah.
To get another long-term contract to kind of prove that the injury risk is overblown, which I don't think it is because I think he has been so banged up. And he was banged up a lot last year. But if he could be healthy in the big moments for the Bills, I think could be a big reward for them.
You know who it sucks for, though? The Bosa parents. One's on the West Coast, one's as far on the East Coast. Is not as far, but
true. They were both LA and San Fran.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
So now one is on the opposite side. But of the country.
He did like that Buffalo felt like he was a Buckeye, Columbus, Ohio. Felt like a college town. He does like a good pen. I don't know if you saw the video. He was like,
yes,
good. No, this is a nice pen.
Yeah,
so.
And he was talking about some video games or something like that.
Yeah,
with one of the media
Josh
guys.
said if you went here in this town, you'd become immortalized. So,
yeah. It's definitely intriguing. My brother's a Chargers fan, so I immediately went to him for the Bosa thing, and he's like, if he stays healthy, that's a solid grab, no question. So,
and especially when Myles Garrett doesn't get moved, Max Crosby doesn't get moved.
I think you mean Myles Garrett sells out on everything he believes in,
his morals, beliefs. Hendrickson probably not going to get moved because the Bengals just paid their stars, so maybe they're going to pay him too. So
yeah.
From what the market was, this is probably the highest ceiling player you could have potentially gotten. So be interesting. And then finally,
I just have to say one last thing.
Sure.
I saw someone going at the Sabres, all right, and Kevin Adams, and I'm the first one to do that. Don't get me wrong. Saying the Bills can make, we don't have palm trees here, but the Bills can bring LA players here. my phone just goes face down as soon as I see that, right? The camera shakes in anticipation here. LA has worse taxes than the state of New York. What point are you making? I know Adams was talking about Florida specifically, right?
No state income tax, yes.
Yes. Do your research before you make an accusation like that. I'm going to defend Kevin Adams on that one.
Okay.
Because
this is a reverse setting here.
LA has worse taxes than New York, arguably.
A lot better weather, though.
Better. They do have the palm trees, but they also have the taxes, but they also have earthquakes.
We also have snow.
Snow or earthquakes? That's a draft. Oh. What do you take? First overall pick, snow or earthquakes in the weather draft? In the extreme weather draft, what do you take?
Probably would rather have snow.
Yeah, me too.
But that's just because we lived in this all
it's not as deadly. I don't know. My house wouldn't come down. No, I'm not. Knock on wood with that one. I forget the camera's attached to the desk, so it just shakes every time I hit the desk. But you can move on now. Sorry, I had to make that point.
A rare moment of defending Kevin Adams. But last Bills move of note. Obviously, they did also sign Chenault, LaVista Chenault, who's probably going to be just competing for the return job. With, Brendan Connaughton, which isn't super surprising because they healthy scratched Connaughton in the playoffs first year when he got banged up. So maybe
they need a backup.
Maybe they want that wide receiver 5 behind Shakir, Coleman, Palmer, and Samuel.
Mm-hmm. You might preferably not want Shakir taking return
they
snaps.
Want a wide receiver 5 that could be a little creative maybe in the return game and play special teams.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But last one, Dane Jackson comes back on. Did we talk about? Well, DeMar doesn't change anything on him, so I'm just gonna say they brought back DeMar.
Yep.
They signed Derek Forrest, who honestly had a pretty good year a couple years ago in Washington, and then injuries kind of derailed his career.
I feel like that's a solid signing though.
Low
I like
risk, high reward.
Exactly.
That and then DeMar. That's just a floor raiser to me. It's not. I don't think it increases their ceiling. We've seen DeMar now for a couple seasons have starter reps, and he's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't mind bringing back a fine player that
he's sustainable in the position.
Went to market and decided to come back.
Yeah.
So he's fine. He gives a certain floor, a fine floor. Not a great floor, but a fine floor.
Exactly.
But last one, Dane Jackson. Again, I don't know to spend too much time on this. It's very similar to DeMar, which is why I brought it up. I just think he brings a certain floor.
Yeah.
It's adequate. He could, if a bind happens and he has to go out there, he's probably going to get picked on, sure, but he at least knows the system, could at least hold up all right.
Yeah.
So
he's mediocre.
Again, he's a guy that they're going to have to improve upon and how they do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully through the draft, but which is why I still think corner's probably still their biggest need. But again, both those guys just give a certain floor where in the draft now they don't have to just reach for one for need value.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. Dane, when I saw it, I was like, okay, knows the system. Depth guy, been around, so sure, I'm fine with that. It's better than, the depth they had last year, clearly. Kyer Elam. I'll take Dane Jackson over Kyer Elam. Elam speaking out against the Bills, by the way. Did you see that?
That was really. I don't think that was really him speaking out.
No, I know that. I'm just saying. That's what it's been taken as.
I know. But
didn't give me a chance, quote unquote. But no, they just played a different style of defense, unfortunately, under Sean McDermott. But
he's better.
Better in man.
Supposedly better in man, but then he didn't play better in man. He played better in zone. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, but yeah. So the Bills starting to put a little bit of things together heading into the draft. Milano gets a restructure,
but then he gets his second year cut off. So I don't know. Maybe that's a little Von Miller-ish where
it is.
He had a major injury, came back, wasn't quite the same player. Takes a pay cut.
He can get that money back though, incentive based, as far as I read. But so it's kind of a.
I think this is kind of this is your last year with the Bills.
Yeah, is it this is your last year with the Bills if you don't perform, or is this
last year with the Bills?
100%.
I just don't see them extending him.
Yeah. Well, I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna find a way to get Sean Dolak. By the way, of UB football.
It is a lot. It is $11 million on the cap next year for him. So that is quite a bit of money. So maybe, but I think it's also a situation where they would go, we have 1 more year, Matt. We got out of the contract. And we have 4th year now. Dorian, because Dorian was going into his 3rd season. He'll go into his 4th year. Maybe they think he could be the starter.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to worry about extending a 30-year-old Matt Milano, who's, over 30-year-old now, but
yeah,
that's had a lot of
injuries on, unfortunately, tackling dummies. So the bicep tear wasn't even in game. So you got to just hope he can stay healthy this season and earn that incentive, both for his sake, and if he does that, that means he's played lights out for the Bills in his final season, it looks like. So,
but going to our last conversation, Sabres, what a moment for them last night.
Yeah.
Big win for the boys.
Against the worst, well, technically they're the worst team in the NHL. So one of the other worst teams in the NHL.
Doesn't matter. A win is a win.
Boston Bruins.
Owen Power, a goal, had the game-winning assist to Alex Tuck in overtime.
More assist. It just shot into Tuck and off his stick. But, you know, it's funny still.
You did allude to earlier that they did beat Vegas. Vegas choked.
Big time.
Darlene came through in the big moment, scoring under 14 seconds to go to tie it, and then
he's gonzos, by the way. If you didn't listen to last week's episode,
big shootout win as well. So same old. I mean, I'd still like them to get Docker, who they got from the Cousins trade. You know, he was a little banged up. They worked out his visa. They're trying to get some practice with him before that he actually plays. So
right,
I'd like to see him. Norris being banged up is just a great sign for things to come. But again, this is kind of a lost season.
Do we know injury, like what it is?
Undisclosed.
Okay. And classic NHL, just not going to tell you anything. Then they'll come out with LBI later this week, and it's like, okay, ankle, foot, knee, what's going on? But,
what defines is lower body, but
yeah.
My dad now has begun. I think if you asked him what his second favorite hockey team is, he'll say the Senators because he's a big Cousins fan.
Yeah.
I'm getting multiple texts at like 11 o'clock.
How's Cousins doing?
He's doing all right.
Better than in Buffalo, or
probably
same?
Better than in Buffalo, but it's like, the Senators.
Well, he's playing in the Providence of Canada.
Well, it's like the Senators won 5-0. Cousins was a +3. I'm like, Dad, like, come on, gotta let it go. But he won't.
It does feel wrong still, and I said this last week. Seeing the pictures of him in the Senators uniform. Us 2 years ago, like going to those games and like pre-Cousins getting his bell rung and being in the bubble when he was like the face of that team. It's wrong. Like it still feels wrong. But, you know, what are you going to do?
But, yeah, I mean, it's nice. I hate it because it's like, why couldn't you play better? But, listen, they're on demand a little bit. Ryan McLeod has played really well.
He has.
He's a guy that they have to sign to a long-term extension, I think, at the end of the year.
I think they will.
And they should.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same old. Zach Benson playing at a high level at just 19 is kind of insane. Just kind of dominates when he's out there. Again, he still has, I think, a little bit of development to go offensively, but defensively, when he's on the ice, the Sabres give up nothing, which is incredibly rare for a young forward. And then, obviously, the good news is Josh Norris, as I alluded to with the undisclosed injury, is he is traveling with them. They're in Utah on Thursday, in Minnesota on Saturday, in Winnipeg on Sunday, and then they actually host Cousins a week from now on the 25th. So we'll see.
Back in the building. Does he get booed? Did we talk about that? The Eichel booing, or did we just tease it? I think I just teased it.
Oh, we can talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, I mean, there's nothing really else to add about the Sabres, and then hopefully they kind of just continue to play well. And I like seeing individual people continue to play better. Like, I thought Power played really well. Again, I alluded to Benson, McLeod. Like, I'd like to see Josh Norris get healthy and able to have the end of the year. Bernard Docker would like him to come back and at least show a little bit.
Yeah.
Next, 15-ish games. So, other than that, we could shoot to the Eichel thing.
So, I don't know how to feel about it.
I think it's very easy to how I feel about it.
Why? Do you think he shouldn't get booed or should?
Oh, I think he should get booed.
I think, okay, so...
Do you disagree?
No. I'm with you on it. So, for those who don't know, if you live under a rock in the city of Buffalo, Jack Eichel gets booed fantastically every time he comes back to Buffalo.
Every time he touches the puck.
Yep. It never fails. It is just, it's what happens, and for good reason. I don't even think, I know the first time it was because of the exit, right? As soon as he gets traded, he puts a Photoshop picture of himself, jersey swapped, Vegas, baby, in all caps, right? So, like, that definitely leaves the taste in your mouth. And he wanted out before the surgery, and then they didn't, whatever the surgery thing was, he wanted out no matter what, with or without that. So the first time coming back, the booing was totally warranted. And then the comments after that game, I think, are what have insinuated it happening ever since. I think it won't not happen for him. Because someone made the argument, Reinhart doesn't get booed, Pominville wouldn't get booed, like things like that. And I'm like, I think they left better. Like Skinner doesn't get booed, but they left better than Eichel did. And then Eichel was a pompous ass when he came back. He's like, oh, this place hasn't been that blah, 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 like in the post-game press conference. Like,
exactly.
No, like he did it to himself.
So they're not booing Jack Eichel, the hockey player. They're booing Jack Eichel, the person.
His character.
Yes.
That's what they're booing.
Yes.
And I am all for that because all the rumors around here when he was playing here were that he was a POS out in public. Yeah. So not to swirl those around again, but let's not act like he's a saint, all right? Like he's undeserving of the boos. Some people say it's childish. It needs to stop. I don't know. I'm not there. I think he's got to pay out some time. You know what I mean? What do you think?
It will never end.
No. It won't.
Sorry, but it won't end. And if I go to a Sabres game in Vegas and Jack Eichel there, I will boo. Because I just think he took a dump on the city of Buffalo. I think he took a dump on the Sabres. Listen, he wanted out before the season that he had the neck issue.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. I was like, all right, a year after becoming captain of the team, you wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
Now the whole neck thing, kind of holding the team hostage.
We get it. You had a soccer coach. It wasn't great.
Wasn't great. And then again, the way he left immediately. Hours after getting traded, he has this interview with Elliot Friedman, and then, of course he's going to get booed the first game back from just how the exit went, and then, again, the comments afterwards. So, yeah, I agree. Listen, Sam Reinhart, everyone loves Sam Reinhart here. So, when he comes
he's a
back,
good dude.
when he comes back, he gets cheered.
Yeah. Everyone loves Jeff Skinner.
Yeah.
He'll get cheered. He'll never get booed.
That's whatever, but yeah.
I would never have booed Jason Pominville. I would never, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just you're booing the character of Jack Eichel, which is proven to be rotten over the years.
It's not the hockey player you're booing; it's the character. But
yeah,
to move on to our final point, I know I said that already, but I just want to briefly say, Bandits quality win, 11-6 over Calgary. They get their revenge. Second time this year they've lost at home. Like they lost to San Diego at home.
Yep.
The next week they go to San Diego.
It's
and
the
beat San Diego.
back-to-backs. Yeah.
And then this year, they lose to Calgary. 2 weeks ago, well, I guess 10 days ago because it's the 8th, and then obviously this weekend they get the job done, and then...
What's crazy is, though, the San Diego game, I think, was literally a back-to-back. I think that was a day after.
Yes. And then they do have one more back-to-back this weekend coming up. They host Friday Las Vegas, and then Saturday they're in Albany. Fun fact about Vegas, they have a Canisius men's lacrosse player who went the same year as me, Jackson Webster, who is actually one of their better players. So
look at that. A Buffalonian
on
a Vegas
coming back.
Team coming back to the KeyBank
might get
Center.
Cheered.
He's going to probably get cheered.
Yeah, but
the booing is reserved for Jack Eichel. But yeah, I wonder if the two teams in that building sweep the Vegas teams. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. I would like to see that. Come on. The Bandits are having quite the year. Even in those couple losses they've had, they're reigning supreme. Because those teams, again, that they've lost to, they've rebounded and defeated. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's not a sweep by any means. And they're gonna be playing well into June again, I have a feeling. So we'll be able to talk some Bandits lacrosse for an extended period of time, which is pretty exciting.
So do you want? I know we went long. No, we're at like the 40-minute mark actually. Mm-hmm. Do you want to bring up the point you're going to make about haircuts, or?
Yeah, I have to.
After, as people could probably tell from last pod, I did get a haircut.
Yes, Dom has gotten a haircut. If you haven't noticed, if you're not watching on video, he got a nice trim. So
got all the hairs cut.
I had to ask him, and I know women's hair is outrageous, depending on what you're having done. Okay, price wise, as it should be. It's hairflation, right? The products have gone up. The services have gone up. Also, I don't know, my barber, I feel like is a scientist in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like the good barber is like a scientist.
What?
You're paying a premium for someone who knows hair inside and out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to Supercuts, and that's not a slight to Supercuts or anything.
It is.
It is, but it isn't, because I used to go to Supercuts regularly until I graduated college, because it was the value haircut. But the barber changes everything. Because
a good barber, once you find a good barber, you're set for life.
What's the Ron Swanson quote?
You know what's like? You know what's like? Once you find a good dentist,
yeah,
you never go to another dentist.
Right.
Or when you find a good doctor, you just stay with that doctor. It's the same with your haircut. It's once you find a good barber that you like and you enjoy, you'll just go there for the rest of your life.
Right. Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation. You ever watch that?
I can't get into it.
One of the goated.
I've seen clips. I've laughed at the clips. I just can't get into the episode basis. So that's the thing with The Office. I laugh at Office clips.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't watch whole episodes.
See, I was like that, and then I actually watched them both.
Okay.
And I was into it.
Ah.
Like it was they were both very funny. So, Ron Swanson famously states, 3 most important people in a man's life: his barber, his butcher, and his lover. The butcher, I don't really know how to feel about that. I'm not a big meat guy, but the barber, sure. And then lover, I mean, that to each their own.
Well, nothing's
right?
worse than getting a bad haircut, which I haven't gotten in years. So
that is the worst. Bad haircut draft, maybe. Just thinking of drafts we can do. But yeah, to the original point about the haircuts, the prices I feel like have gotten out of control in some cases, right? Like you get a barber in some scenarios, or a hairstylist who's not even a barber. His name could be Typhoon for all I care, right? And he's that's from Parks and Rec as well. But he's at some high-end place. They charge you $100 for a haircut.
well, I think you're paying for
The labor
the labor
and the product.
They're running a business,
Mm-hmm.
so they have to make a profit on what they're buying
Exactly.
and how to run a business. Also, I think it's also, listen, you're paying, I wouldn't say for the experience, but like you're paying to know that I know every time I go to get a haircut with my barber, I'm going to get a good cut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, and but like you're saying, yeah, you go really cheap, and then
you play the odds.
You don't really
throw
have
the dice.
Like I have an individual barber.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could go to a place and just go to Supercuts and just like
Whoever's got an opening,
whichever chair is open,
mm-hmm.
right? You're going to get your hair cut, and then it's like the consistency of the cut isn't there because they do probably stuff. I
actually had a guy at Supercuts. His name was George. I did. You can make appointments with people. I'm not even kidding you. You ask who's there, you ask what days they're there, and you line it up.
Okay, back where it was though. But like, you get my point. Like, you could do the Supercuts route and just not even put that much attention.
The great clips, you just walk in, take the chair.
You take a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, all right, well, this could
blow up in your face.
This could blow up in my face. Or you could have, a smaller business, have a personalized barber that you have a relationship with that you like. You know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to have a half hour.
I'm going to chit chat.
I'm going to chit chat a little bit. Yeah, nothing's worse than like back in the day when you like went to like the other places and like you just didn't have anything in common with the barber and just in there.
You just sit there and you can't really do anything about it. So
yeah,
not great.
And then like keep your head still.
Yeah, and then they always like when they buzz around the ears for the fellas, they always like clip it and like cut my ear.
I really never had that problem.
No,
I have to be honest. I've maybe once in my life.
Yeah, I was bleeding one time because of it.
I have seen that happen to people, but
mm-hmm. Like put the guard on. Like what are we doing? But either way, I had to address the haircut in the room and just curious, price wise, what everyone thinks. But this has been quite the off-season pod today to wrap things up. Anything else you want to add? Toss in at the end?
Nope.
No. He had to think about that for a second. There was hesitation there. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
All right, sounds good. Well, that's going to do it for this off-season edition of the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.